Fortunately, he's wearing his Kevlar jacket, and he was okay, although I still think he's a little banged up. I think he's always going to try to make the impossible play to a fault, and I'm not sure you can win Super Bowls that way. He needs to be more of a cog in the attack, the main cog, but just a cog in the attack. He just tries to do too much. He can be inaccurate. He can run too much. I'm not sure he's as great a quarterback as he is just a great player, just a great athlete. That's my problem with Vic, and that's why I don't think he'll be able to stay healthy enough.
Well, I mean, there may be, some highlights of truth in that statement. However, I think that's what makes great players great. The fact that they push themselves beyond limitations and they try to make a way when there is no way. And the hang-up is, if you make it, then you're phenomenal.
Yep.
And when you don't, then you're high risk and and you do too much. So I think that he's caught somewhere in between whether people would like for him to stay in the pocket and be a in the pocket quarterback, or whether they still want to see him scramble and run for 120 yards a game like he did in Atlanta.
Yep.
So I mean, like, I think that's his dilemma. And once he settles into that, and I know Vic personally, we personal partners, and I speak to him, and he understands what he has to do. It's just a matter of him getting out there and getting it done.
I got a lot of love and respect for Michael Vick. I know him personally as well, and on several occasions I've told him this. I'm proud of how he's resurrected himself. I truly am. It's an inspirational story in that regard. But the one thing about it, from a football standpoint, the jig is up. This is the second $100 million contract that he has signed. Never played in the Super Bowl, never won a Super Bowl. 18 touchdowns, 14 interceptions last year. You're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles. You got one of the best running backs in the game in LaShawn McCoy. You've got wide receivers in Jason Avant, Jeremy Maclin, Deshaun Jackson. He's got his money. They need to sit there and shore up the offensive line. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, when we look at the Drew Breeses of the world, the Aaron Rodgers of the world, Eli Manning within the division, you got Tony Romo, who Skip loves to death. He can't even win more than one point. Can't even win more than one playoff game. But he's talking about Tony Romo like he's the second coming. All I'm saying is, if you're Vic, it has gotten to the point where we understand your story, we appreciate what you've overcome, but you are a baller. It's time to get it done. And to me, whatever it takes. That's where I'm at.
Stephen A., what have I told you?
I agree.
I've told you, Stephen A., the Eagles should be the preseason favorite. The X factor on the Eagles, to me, is not the offensive line, Andy Reid's coaching. It's Michael Vick's performance. This is a make it or break it year
I can't talk to him. Handle it for me.
Okay. So let me ask you this: what is the difference in Mike Vick doing too much and Romo doing too much and getting himself banged up and hurt all the time as well? What is the difference in the two?
You know what? I think Romo's more durable than Michael Vick. Sometimes you're just born with that. Well, he is. Well, he played through. Remember, he came back, Stephen A., in that San Francisco game with cracked ribs and won the game in overtime. How many times have we seen that from Michael Vick?
Michael Vick had cracked ribs. He had a concussion. He hurt his hand and everything.
Yeah, and he
still played about 13 games.
I think the league has the league has a mandate. If you have a concussion, you got to sit out for X amount of games.
Let me ask you this. Was Michael Vick taken high in the draft, like #1 overall? Was Tony Romo an undrafted free agent? So my expectations, my bar is set really high up here for Michael Vick. Tony Romo was lucky to be in the league, let alone to be considered, as he was coming off last year, Stephen A. Smith, a top 5 quarterback.